how a UFO could actually work. For over 70 years, pilots, radar operators, astronauts, and military commanders have all described the same thing: craft with no wings, no engines, no exhaust. Objects that hover silently, then accelerate faster than anything humans have ever built, making turns that would instantly kill a human pilot. Most people hear this and think one thing: that violates physics. But that reaction is based on a misunderstanding. Because what these craft appear to do doesn't break the laws of physics, it breaks our assumptions about how motion, gravity, and energy must work. The real question isn't, are UFOs real? The real question is, if an advanced craft existed, how could it work without magic? And when you ask that question seriously, something surprising happens. Suddenly, the reports stop sounding impossible and start sounding engineered. Every human vehicle ever built shares the same limitation. Planes, helicopters, rockets, all of them move by fighting their environment. Wings push air downward. Rockets throw mass backward. Lift always requires resistance. But gravity is not like air or friction. Gravity is not something you push against. According to Einstein, gravity is the shape of space-time itself. Objects fall not because they're pulled, but because space-time bends, and they follow that bend. So if you try to overcome gravity by brute force, you're already thinking at the wrong technological level. An advanced craft wouldn't try to overpower gravity. It would ask a different question. How do we change how gravity applies to us? Because if you can alter your relationship to space-time, even slightly, then hovering, silent flight, and extreme acceleration stop being miracles. They become side effects. A UFO doesn't lift itself. It decouples itself from space-time just enough that gravity no longer dominates its behavior. Now look at the shapes people report. Discs, spheres, tic-tacs, triangles. Notice what they don't have. No wings, no propellers, no visible engines, no control surfaces. That tells us something extremely important. These are not aerodynamic machines. They don't rely on airflow. They rely on fields. Once aerodynamics are irrelevant, shape stops being about lift and drag and starts being about field stability. Smooth, continuous surfaces are ideal for electromagnetic fields, space-time distortion, energy containment. This is where the idea of metamaterials enters the picture. Materials engineered at the atomic level not for strength alone, but to interact with reality itself. And once you understand that, everything people call impossible about UFOs starts to line up. Let's talk about metamaterials, because this is where the conversation usually goes wrong. A metamaterial isn't defined by what it's made of, it's defined by how its atoms are arranged. By structuring matter at the nanoscale, far smaller than a human hair, engineers can create materials that behave in ways nature never does on its own. Metamaterials can bend electromagnetic waves, absorb or redirect radar, control heat flow, manipulate electrical currents. In simple terms, they let you tell physics how to behave locally. That's not science fiction. We already do this, just very weakly and very inefficiently. Now here's the crucial insight. If a UFO uses metamaterials, its outer shell is not armor in the traditional sense. It's not designed to stop bullets. It's not designed to survive explosions. It's designed to act as an interface, a boundary layer between the craft and space-time itself. Instead of resisting forces, it shapes the environment so those forces barely apply in the first place. That's why reported materials are often described as extremely light, incredibly strong, layered in impossible ways, unaffected by heat. They're not built for violence, they're built for control. You'll often hear the term anti-gravity. Strictly speaking, that's misleading. Physics doesn't allow gravity to simply be turned off, but it does allow gravity to be weakened redirected, or bypassed. Gravity depends on mass and energy density. If a craft can generate intense, precisely shaped electromagnetic fields and interact with the vacuum energy that exists everywhere, then it can reduce how strongly gravity couples to it. Not eliminate gravity, but step partly outside its influence. Think of standing on a moving walkway at an airport. You're still on the ground, gravity still exists, but your relationship to motion has changed. Now imagine that walkway exists in all directions, up, down, sideways. That's what a UFO does with spacetime. It doesn't lift itself, it becomes less anchored to the spacetime around it. That's why it can hover effortlessly. Helicopters hover by blasting air downward. That creates tremendous noise, turbulence, dust, debris, downwash. UFOs hover silently. That tells us something critical. No air is being pushed downward. Instead, the craft exists inside a localized field where gravity is reduced, external forces barely couple, air is gently displaced, not blasted. The environment isn't reacting violently because it isn't being forced, it's being rearranged. This leads directly to one of the biggest mysteries of all, how these craft can accelerate instantly, turn at right angles, reach hypersonic speeds, without crushing occupants, without producing sonic booms. To understand that, we have to talk about G-forces and why UFO occupants don't experience them at all. That's where things get truly unsettling. Let's talk about G-forces. This is where conventional explanations completely collapse. Human pilots begin to black out at around 9 Gs. At higher forces, blood can't reach the brain. Organs shift. Bones break. Yet UFOs routinely perform maneuvers that would generate hundreds of Gs, thousands of Gs, possibly far more. If a human were inside a conventional craft doing that, they wouldn't be injured. They would be destroyed. So either every witness is wrong, or these craft are not accelerating the way we think they are. There is no third option. Here's the key insight, and it's subtle but powerful. G-forces are not caused by speed. They are caused by acceleration through space. You feel G-forces because your body resists motion, while the vehicle forces you to move. But what if the craft isn't moving through space? What if it's moving space itself? Then nothing inside is accelerating. Everything moves together. No resistance, no crushing force, no stress on the body. Inside the craft, it feels still. Outside, it looks impossible. This is best understood as a space-time bubble. Inside the bubble, space is locally flat. Inertia is neutralized. Acceleration becomes irrelevant. The bubble itself is what moves. The occupants are passengers inside geometry, not bodies being flung through air. This explains why occupants survive extreme maneuvers. There are no visible restraints. No cockpits or seats are reported. No signs of stress on the craft. The laws of physics still apply, just not the way we're used to experiencing them. Now consider the famous right-angle turns. A conventional aircraft cannot do this. Momentum would tear it apart. But UFOs do it effortlessly, because they aren't turning. They're reorienting their space-time field. Imagine standing still while the floor beneath you suddenly points in a new direction. You didn't turn. Your environment did. That's why UFOs can stop instantly, reverse direction, change orientation without banking, ignore momentum. The craft doesn't obey inertia. It controls it. At hypersonic speed, aircraft should compress air violently, heat it to extreme temperatures, produce massive shock waves, create sonic booms. Yet UFOs don't. This tells us something crucial. The air is not being compressed. It's being moved out of the way before the craft arrives. The space-time field extends forward, preconditioning the environment. So when the craft moves, it's always entering a region that's already been prepared. No sudden pressure change, no shockwave, no boom. This also explains another baffling observation. UFOs transition seamlessly between space, atmosphere, water. No splash, no deceleration, no loss of control, because they're not interacting directly with the medium at all. Air, water, vacuum, it doesn't matter. They're all just environments outside the bubble. To the craft, they're irrelevant. Now that we understand how these craft move, the next question becomes unavoidable. If they can control fields, space-time, and energy this precisely, what else can they do? Action at a distance. Once you understand that these craft are built around fields, not engines, a lot of reported behavior suddenly becomes explainable, especially one of the most controversial claims of all, UFOs interacting with human technology without ever touching it. Missile systems disabling, radar systems failing, weapons activating or shutting down on their own. This isn't magic. It's a consequence of how fragile modern electronics actually are. Every electronic system depends on electrical currents, precise voltages, stable timing, that makes them extremely sensitive to electromagnetic fields, induced currents, high-frequency interference. A sufficiently advanced craft could target specific circuitry, induce voltages remotely, flip logic states, temporarily disable or permanently damage systems. No physical contact required, no explosions, no debris, no fingerprints, just silence. This explains a pattern that appears again and again in military testimony. UFOs hovering near nuclear sites, missiles going offline, launch systems becoming unresponsive. Importantly, this is not destruction, it's control. The systems aren't blown up, they're rendered inert, then often restored later. That suggests intent, not hostility. Demonstration. Why this isn't an attack. If an advanced civilization wanted to harm us, they wouldn't disable weapons temporarily. They wouldn't announce their presence. They wouldn't allow us to observe them for decades. This behavior makes more sense as constraint, not aggression. A way of saying, we know what you can do, and we can stop it effortlessly. That's not a threat, it's a boundary. This level of precision implies something else. These craft are not built around weapons, they're built around energy management. The same field systems that isolate the craft from gravity, cancel inertia, shape space-time, can also interfere with electronics, influence matter at a distance, transfer energy without contact. What we interpret as weapons may just be side effects of vastly superior control. Which leads to the most important question so far. If this technology is real, and if it's been observed for decades, why don't we have it? What's actually stopping humanity from building something like this? Why humans don't have this technology? At this point, a reasonable question naturally arises. If none of this violates physics, if it's all based on extensions of known principles, why don't humans already have it? The answer is uncomfortable, but simple. We're not blocked by imagination. We're blocked by engineering maturity. There are three major barriers humanity faces. First, materials science. We cannot yet manufacture metamaterials with atomic precision at large scales, long-term structural stability, extreme field tolerance. Second, energy density. Field-based propulsion requires immense energy concentration, extreme stability, near-perfect control. We still rely on combustion, fission, early-stage fusion, all of which are crude by comparison. Third, control systems. Managing space-time fields requires real-time feedback, ultra-fast computation, possibly non-classical control methods. We're still building machines that struggle to coordinate themselves. Some people assume this technology already exists, hidden away in classified programs. That assumption doesn't hold up. If humans had this capability, rockets would be obsolete, satellites would be unnecessary, energy scarcity would disappear, warfare would be unrecognizable. You can't hide a technology that powerful. It rewrites civilization. The fact that our world still looks the way it does is evidence that we don't yet possess it. So when could we? Realistically, partial field manipulation, 30 to 80 years, local gravity reduction, a century or more, true space-time craft, centuries without external insight. Progress will likely be uneven. Breakthroughs won't come from bigger rockets, they'll come from deeper understanding. The moment we stop fighting physics and start cooperating with it, everything accelerates. If, or when, humanity masters this level of control, the implications extend far beyond transportation. This same technology enables near-instant planetary travel, silent global transport, gravity-free construction, asteroid redirection, planetary defense, medical manipulation of forces at the cellular level, energy abundance without pollution, interstellar exploration without generation ships. This isn't about UFOs, it's about civilizational transformation. The most important realization is this: nothing about this technology is supernatural. It's not mystical, it's not divine, it's not magic. It's simply what physics looks like when a civilization grows up. If these craft exist, they are not a message of fear. They are a glimpse of what becomes possible when intelligence learns to work with the universe instead of against it. The question isn't whether this future is real, it's whether we're ready to reach it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy mind-expanding topics, improving civilization, raising your vibration, expanding consciousness, spiritual guidance, healing journeys, alien transmissions, starseed insights, and higher dimensional perspectives, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification icon so you don't miss what's coming next. It genuinely helps the channel grow, and we're only just getting started. And feel free to leave a comment with the topics you'd like to explore next. I'll be covering them, and I'll personally let you know in the comments when your requested video is live. Until then, stay curious, stay open, and stay aligned.